Even. Raul Caiz Jr., 115, 113. John Kane, 116 to 112. The winner by majority decision. And new WBC middleweight champion of the world, still undefeated, Julio Cesar Chavez Jr.
Roy, majority decision for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. I don't think any real outlandish scores. You know, you could swing around here or there, and maybe it tilts the other guy's way, but a very close competitive fight.
A very close competitive fight. I think you probably may see a rematch in this fight. I think it'd be good for both fighters because it was a very close fight, a very challenging fight, and I think both fighters did a really good job for themselves tonight.
Take a look at the final punch stats in the fight for Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and Sebastian Zbik. Zbik was busier. He landed at 47%, 32% for Chavez Jr., who came on late with more volume. Power shots in Zbik's favor, 54% to 33% for Chavez Jr., who threw more over the balance of the fight and predominantly to the body. As we zero in on punch zone, 143 connects to the body by Chavez Jr. to the left, to the body of Zbik, whereas Zbik did not attack the body at all. He landed just 29 body shots on the right to the body of Chavez Jr. He used his jab, landed 355 to the head. Close fight, but Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. the winner by majority decision. Max is standing by with the newly crowned champion.
Julio Jr., congratulations on a very exciting fight. It seems, based on the scorecards and the way the last round went, that you needed that last round to win. Did you feel that way going into the 12th?
Bueno, yo sentía que la pelea iba muy pareja. Yo intenté ganar cada round de la pelea. Sabía que iba pareja y salí con todo a ganar el último round porque sabía que era crucial para la pelea.
I thought the fight was pretty even, but I knew I had to come out strong and win the final round. I knew it was very even, but I knew it was crucial that I come out and win that fight to win the battle.
Were you surprised at his aggression? He's usually a much more defensively oriented fighter. He came out pretty fast.
Así es. Tiene una gran guardia. Venía a retener su título. Es un muy buen peleador, pero peleé con todo el corazón y yo dije que este título lo iba a ganar para México.
He's got a great defense and he came to defend his title. He's a great fighter, he's great heart, but I came to win this title for Mexico.
We kept hearing before the fight you were going to fight more on the outside and use your size. But there you were on the inside, throwing the family Chavez body shots. Why?
Lo que pasa es que yo sentí que lo lastimé abajo y seguí mi golpeado al cuerpo. Y creo que esa fue la clave. Ella no podía los últimos rounds de la pelea.
I felt I hurt him to the body and that was the key, and I felt that he couldn't continue on as the fight went on.
Generally, I hate to discuss sanctioning body belts. However, your father held this belt for many years, and now you have it. Can you tell us what you're feeling about that?
Me siento muy contento por ganar este título y voy a trabajar muy duro porque quiero ser campeón por mucho tiempo y hacer historia para México como lo hizo mi padre.
I'm very happy to win this title. I'm going to work very hard to keep this title as long as possible and for Mexico and to keep it as long as my father did.
What did your dad tell you after the fight?
Congratulations, I love you.
Congratulations, Julio. One more thing. Now that you have a belt, the recognized middleweight champion of the world is Sergio Martinez. Do you have any interest at all in fighting Sergio Martinez, the recognized middleweight champion, in the near future?
Yo dije que siendo campeón no iba a reunir a nadie. Si Bob Arum me paga dinero, peleo con quien sea.
I said that as a champion, I wouldn't reject no one. If Bob Arum pays me the money, I'll fight whoever.
Congratulations on a very exciting fight and the belt win, Julio Jr.
Gracias, y este título es para todos los mexicanos. Los quiero mucho a todos.
Sebastian, what do you think about the decision? Let's start with that.
Well, what can I say? I knew before that I have to win the fight in a very clear way, so there were many rounds in this fight which were very close, and I know when a round is closed, they give it for Chavez Jr. He's a strong fighter. Congratulations to his new belt, and well, I think the first rounds were mine, but what can I say? I knew before that I would have to win the fight very clear to be successful at the end. But let me say, first of all, thank you to the people of Los Angeles. I was 4 weeks here, I had a great time. Thank you to the crowd. Congratulations again to Julio. And some words in Germany. Vielen Dank an die Leute, die hier mit hergekommen sind. Ihr seid echt die geilsten, die es gibt. Und viele Grüße nach Hause.
Thanks for a very exciting fight, Sebastian. Bob.
All right, Max, a very classy thing by JrCHVZbK, who was here for 4 weeks. He'll stay for 2 more. Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. Really dug in. We showed the body shots, Roy. As you saw him tonight, the outside game went out the window. He did what he had to do. What are your thoughts after seeing him in person and the way he performed against a very tough fighter in JrCHVZbK?
My thoughts are no different than they were before we came here tonight. He's still Julio Cesar Chavez, although it's junior, not senior, but it's still the same thing in the chest. He has the heart of a champion. He has the mind and the soul of a champion. He refuses to be beaten. He has a will that just is unmatched. So when he goes in the ring and you have a guy who really is not punching hard enough to really hurt him, you're asking for trouble, because he's going to be right there in your face, in your chest all night. I don't care how much boxing they taught him. He came up watching this. He came up with this bred in him. You can't take that out of him in 3 fights.
All right, Max, you know, you were in there with Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. and the impressive performance that he had. JrCHVZbK, I mean, close rounds. You can't really argue with the scoring. Majority decision. I mean, 1 round or 2 rounds here and the cards are flipped. Your impressions of what you saw out of the son of the great Julio Cesar Chavez?
He needed that 12th round, as it turns out, and he got it on 2 cards. One of them was 10-10, but by winning that 12th round, he won the fight. Let's start with this. Belts are promotional tools nowadays, purely just about promotional tools. The belt that Chavez Jr. just won was stripped from the real middleweight champion of the world. Chavez Jr. is not the champion of anything except for that sanctioning belt. He's not a world champ, and not really so far in the class of the world champ Sergio Martinez. That said, he does have a belt, partly because he has a connection with the fans. You heard them roar. Yes, partly because he's Julio Cesar Chavez Sr.'s son. Clearly, Chavez, the greatest fighter probably in the history of Mexico, certainly the most popular ever. And so that certainly opened doors for Junior. But he has a real charisma, a real connection to the fans, and they to him. And even, listen, he grew up as a rock star. He looks like a rock star. And even if he's more Ziggy Marley than Bob, Ziggy had some hits. I like some Ziggy Marley songs. And maybe Chavez Jr. is going to have some too. Maybe this was a hit here tonight, just about.
Well, you got Ziggy Marley in the show tonight, and you got Dale Bearer. Pretty good. Nice segues, Max. You know, we've been talking about Julio Cesar Chavez, the great Mexican champion, and then his son performing tonight. Roy Jones, a decorated champion in your own right. You went to Moscow a couple weeks ago, fought Denis Medvedev, got stopped in that fight. Are you going to keep going at the fight game?
Yeah. Am I going to keep going? I don't know. That's a good question. First, I want to say, though, on Chavez's part is he does not determine who fights for the titles. He is a world champion. He did win a world belt tonight. He does make him the WBC middleweight champion of the world, and that they can't take away from him. In the books, tonight he goes down as the world middleweight champion, so he is a world champion.
All right, but what about Roy Jones, all right, in that fight? I know you want to forget it. I know you don't. I know it was tough.
Let me say this. The fight against Medvedev was a great fight. What got me was I went 10 rounds with #1 cruiserweight southpaw at that, off of a year and a month layoff. So, I mean, it's kind of hard. I don't want to continue to go necessarily, but I do love to win. So I'm not trying to continue to stay around this game too long. However, when you see people, and I'm competitive, I must say. So when you see somebody as old as Bernard Hopkins continue to go, it only makes you say, well, what you got to stop for? But at some point, you do have to start pulling back. So, you know, I look at it. If I probably go back into some film or something, then maybe I'll find something else to do. But if not, I don't want to be one of these guys who's around here doing nothing or doing bad things because I got the energy to do something good. You feel me? So, and I must say, in Moscow, they made me feel really good. That fight was a fight about showing people that you also have to be able to step out the box, do different things to make a change sometimes. God wanted me to go to Moscow to see that in Moscow, I'm a bigger person or a bigger name than I am even in the United States of America. I have never felt like for one day that I was Michael Jackson. In Moscow, I felt like I was Michael Jackson. So when you get an opportunity like that to come up, anybody, no living man alive can't tell me he wouldn't want to be treated like he was Michael Jackson after making the Thriller album for one day.
So it sounds like you're leaving the door open if there's the right opportunity, right?
You better believe it.
There you go. All right, thanks, Roy.
Thank you.
A sensational performance tonight by Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., winning a majority decision against a very game and tough Sebastian Zbik. Let's not forget about Mikey Garcia. I mean, what a tremendous performance as he stops his opponent tonight, Rafael Guzman, in the 4th round. Guzman took the fight on short notice, but Garcia showed his pedigree once again with the devastating right hand. We look forward to seeing that 23-year-old in the future as he got his 26th win and 22nd knockout. If you missed any of tonight's telecast, you can catch it in its entirety at the dates and times listed below. And starting Tuesday at noon, watch tonight's fight anytime, anywhere on HBO Go, the new streaming service available on your laptop, iPad, iPhone, and Android. Register now at HBO.com. June 18th, Boxing After Dark returns from Guadalajara, Mexico, as 154-pound rising star and native son Canelo Alvarez defends his title against Ryan Rhodes, and Adrian Broner takes on Jason Litzau in a 130-pound matchup. Next on HBO, stay tuned for Game of Thrones. So for our entire Boxing After Dark crew, I'm Bob Papa saying so long from Los Angeles, California.
This has been a presentation of HBO Sports.